All right, guys, welcome to Chris the Insurance Guy channel here. Really excited today. We got Tony Liu from InsurTech here with us today. We're going to be talking about some really cool stuff about insurance technology and some of the tools and just evolving technology and how that's going to impact the industry. So, welcome Tony to the channel here. And if you want to go ahead, just do a quick little just intro about yourself, background about you and InsurTech, and yeah, just some of your expertise. That'd be great, and we can kick it off from there, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Chris, for having me on your podcast. Nice to meet you all, listeners of the podcast here. And my name is Tony Liu. I'm one of the co-founders of InsurTech NY, which is a ecosystem community that connects those in the insurance innovation space, agents, brokers, carriers, startups, investors. What we do in this ecosystem to connect people are the number of different programs. Yeah, we run different startup programs, mainly to help connect the startups to brokers and carriers. We also run a number of educational networking events, including annual conference that's coming up in April called InsurTech Spring Conference. It's like 1,000-person conference over 2 days. And then finally, we also have a venture capital fund, and we cherry pick the earlier stage startups we see in the ecosystem. So that's in a nutshell kind of what we do. And we've been around since 2019, pre-COVID, and it's our now 6th year running this community.
Nice. And I will be there at the conference, Tony. So I'm excited I've never been, so very excited to be there. If any other people are watching and you're interested, definitely I'll be there. So if you guys want to meet me there and then also get all the value that you're probably going to be bringing there I'm sure how many people are going to the conference?
Yeah, it's going to be about typically about 1,000-person people
Nice.
over 2 days. We have basically content for brokers and agents kind of on the distribution space, as well as underwriting claims for some of the carriers as well. And then we also have an export floor with a lot of great, awesome insurtechs showcasing their technology, and a great kind of way to network with your peers as well. So it should be a great event. If you want to go to a good InsurTech conference, definitely consider us. It's April 2nd to 3rd in New York.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, insurance, I think I think everyone's on the same page about it. Everyone has been complaining about how outdated some of the technology is. And I think that insurance really needs to step it up in that department. So this, I think, is a great, segue into kind of what we're about to talk about is the evolution of some of the technologies that are happening. I think for me, and this is why I brought this up to you, Tony, I think that artificial intelligence is like the forefront of, at least in the top of my mind. I'm like, how is that going to, it's pretty crazy what's happening with it in the first place, just even just as simple as ChatGPT. But
Yeah.
how is, what are your kind of like top ideas, thoughts that you think that AI is going to have impacting insurance?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely top of mind, especially nowadays since ChatGPT came to be now a couple of years ago. But AI has really been around for a long time, believe it or not, and it's been used. In fact, there's like different types of AI, generative AIs that are the new technology that ChatGPT uses, but there's different types of algorithms that's been used for a while. There's natural language processing where you're like using it to translate languages. There's RPA. There's different kind of technology that's been used for over a decade, maybe 20, 30 years actually. So it's not completely new in a sense. So, it's a fairly mature technology if you think from that perspective. But what is new is this generative AI and how quickly it's maturing, at least on that area. And so that's quite interesting how the world has taken up on this new technology, and it's definitely changing the insurance industry because of how like it's so mature, and it kind of mimics
Right.
a human being, probably closer than any other AI or any other technology what has been able to do. Yeah.
Do you think it can replace insurance agents? I think that's one thing that everyone's kind of worried about too. Is like, are we going to get like displaced from our jobs?
Uh this is a hard question to answer. I'll answer in two parts. First of all, this goes for any human, right? Not forget insurance for a minute. Like, can AI or some kind of artificial type of human ever replace a human?
Sure.
Uh, Probably at some point. I don't exactly know when, but we're going down that path, right? And they will be able to do anything. I mean, I don't know if it's going to take 50 years, 100 years, 5 years from now, but we're definitely going down that path. And then you kind of get into like, are they actual conscious or not? And like get into different things. But
Yeah, it's crazy.
definitely are seeing, very lot of evidence that suggests that they will be able to mimic. They're already like mimicking humans like really, really well. Like they passed,
Hmm.
I think, a Turing test where if you talk to them, can you tell they're robots or
Oh wow.
artificial or human, and they already can pass as a human already, at least fake it,
Wow.
right? But to be able to do
Yeah.
everything we do, like that's pretty. That seems hard, but like I think we will get there at some point. But just specifically on the AI, on the agency side, to for them to kind of mimic everything the agents do, it's probably like it's hard
It's a
for us to
lot.
imagine that'll happen anytime soon. Mainly because I think the main value that insurance agent brings
Hmm.
is the human relationship,
Sure.
right? So it's
Trust in
trust
a human
relationship.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
Rapport.
trust. I mean, a customer, especially for selling, complex insurance product, it's
Yeah.
hard for them to understand like what it is. And then even if you read it, it's hard to understand. And there's so many like
Yeah.
disclaimers, and you need some help, right? You need like an
Right.
advisor. And then you
Exactly.
can't just ask any advisor. You need an advisor you can trust. And
Hmm.
so that's a human thing, human touchy feeling thing. And I think it's
Yeah.
going to be really hard for AI to replicate that. And so
Are
for that
there?
reason, it'll be very
Yeah.
difficult. But go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. I was just gonna say, are there any tools you think that agents should be paying attention to with AI right now?
Yeah. So I mean, that's going to be hard, but there's a lot of things on the back end that I
Hmm.
think agents can leverage to make their lives easier, right? And
Right.
so so there's a lot of tools, like for example, we had a number of investments from our portfolio from our fund that invested in the broker and Asian tech space. One of them is if you guys are kind of in the mid-market, kind of commercial insurance distribution space, then you
Hmm.
probably have had difficulty looking at loss runs and how
Yeah.
how
Yeah. Yeah.
complicated and like just
Those are
absurd they are.
fun.
They keep changing it to kind of mess up with you. And so there's a company called Deep Vector that reads all the different types of loss run reports and then
Hmm.
extracts it and then puts it into a digestible reporting format. And it has like 99.9% accuracy. So
Oh
that's
wow.
like work that you're doing on the back end.
Hmm.
I mean, it's important work, but it's not like a work that requires a human being to do, potentially. So it's just a
Yeah.
lot of work. So you can automate a lot of those things. You can also automate as a company called QuickFacts, which collects
Hmm.
all the underwriting forms from the carrier companies, whether they're importer or not, doesn't matter. They collect everything because you spend a lot of time asking for underwriting forms, right? So you can eliminate
Right.
that
Right.
time.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good segue. You're talking about automation. We
yeah,
use a ton of automation in my office, mainly with like just pipeline management and also just like sorting things throughout pipelines, um, or just even just follow ups. Like one of the big things that we're struggling with, and actually I don't know if you have anything you could any tips you could give me.
sure.
Um, any automation that we're trying to figure out how to automate our pending cancellations,
Okay,
and renewal notices. So like we just
yeah,
have manual team members that are sending those out,
yeah,
and I know for a fact there's some workflow or there's some automation that we could build out somehow.
yeah.
Or there might be some. I don't know if off the top of your head
Yeah,
you know a
so
tool that could do
there's
that.
definitely like a lot of workflow automation tools that are out there. Actually, QuickFacts, as I mentioned, they have a workflow automation tool. But there's,
Hmm.
I'm sure there's many other who focus on that. I think Federy also does a little bit of workflow automation.
Hmm.
There's also kind of the old school RPA companies like UiPath. There are companies like that
Hmm.
automate a lot of these workflow items. But I just speaking of pending cancellation, you
Yeah.
may want to try to identify who they are
Hmm.
before they cancel, right? So there are tools that are out there that help
Yeah.
you identify, hey, if you wait a year, they would probably cancel based on these factors. So there are actually tools that
Oh,
are
I
out there
see.
to help you identify that. There's a company called
I
Adidas
see.
that focuses on the life insurance side. I think there's probably a few others on the PSC side as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. It sounds like there's just so many.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's one of the big things for us. Like we really
yeah,
just, I think also just to kind of for anybody watching, if you're not doing these things, like you're just gonna fall behind. Like if you're still, and that's why I'm like, I need to figure this part out. We've automated a good amount of stuff, but one of the big things is like, yeah, that does take up a lot of time. They're also more reliable most of the time too. Like you can count on the robot really making sure that it's gonna send that email out, it's gonna send the text out.
yeah,
So automation, I think, is just super important because it multiplies also your activity.
yeah,
Like you're able to do so much more and not even have to necessarily figure it out, set it up one time, and then you should be good unless you have to do some maintenance on it or something like that.
For sure.
What would you say to like agents that are kind of hesitant? What would you say to them if they're hesitant on like automation?
Yeah, so one of the kind of the simplest tool that I would expect all agencies to use, but it turns out they don't, which is a
Mm-hmm.
CRM, right?
Yeah.
A CRM is pretty basic, which is it manages your customers, and it also helps you do sequencing of emails, which is all automated.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
I think we work with this group called Catalent, which is I don't know if you know, Chris, but they are kind of a subsidiary of multiple big I agencies,
Oh,
and,
okay.
and,
Gotcha.
and they uh, they did a survey of all the different agencies under them. I think over 100 to 200 agencies, and I think half of them were not using any CRM. So
Wow.
that's kind of basic, but it's for those who's probably not using them. Chances are they're probably afraid of technology, just in general. Maybe you come from a generation where you didn't grow up with technology, so you just feel uncomfortable using technology. There are a lot of new technologies that are out there that makes it really easy for you to use. So
Mm-hmm.
probably it's worthwhile checking it out. And if you're hiring kind of agencies who are younger, maybe you can kind of give them as a side project to set up a CRM, because it'll definitely improve your productivity tenfold to have a CRM. That could be kind of your basic technology that you can use.
So if someone comes to you, Tony,
Yeah.
would you just plug them in with InsurTech with another company that can, like, let's just say somebody watching is like a new agency, and they're trying to get stuff built out for their agency, and they just reached out to you.
Yeah.
Would you just like
How can we
have
help
some?
them? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely give them some ideas based on the companies we know, because we know a lot. But also, I can connect them to people who are potentially experts in certain areas, who are better experts
Hmm.
than I, right? And so I can definitely help them if they're interested
Yeah.
in connecting with these startups. Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's great. I'll definitely need some guidance on some of the stuff too. Like if
Sure.
you
Yeah.
have someone that for the pending cancellation stuff or like renewals and stuff like that, if there's a way to figure out the automation on that, that'd be super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, Tony, how did you get into like all the technology stuff yourself?
Yeah, so how did I get into this? So I started off my career as a software engineer. So I know
Uh,
technology. I've been in the tech space for many years, but not necessarily in insurance. So how I got into insurance is like 6, 7 years ago, I met my current business partner, David Gritz, who
hmm
actually co-founded an InsurTech and exited to an insurer, and has been kind of in this space for some time. And so when we got together, we initially started to build a consulting business, helping
mm,
startups. And it was sector agnostic. We helped like fintech and manufacturing tech, all kinds of startups. But we naturally kind of gravitated towards InsurTech, mainly because of his experience. But also, there's just a lot of interesting thing about insurance that made it kind of enticing. So,
yeah.
for
What were
example,
some of those things? Those like
yeah,
interesting things.
yeah. So, first of all, it's a huge market, right? And
Massive,
it's
massive
massive.
industry.
I think $7 trillion market globally. But
Yeah.
a market with a lot of problems, a lot of legacy tech problems, as you
Lots of
talked
tons
about.
of problems. Yeah,
Tons
yeah,
of
yeah.
problems. Right? We're still using paper, right? So a lot of problems. So when you have a big market with a lot of problems, it's a great place to provide solutions.
Yeah,
I thought like
for
InsurTech
sure.
would be a good, it's a good market for InsurTechs. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of fun. We also really liked like the insurance product, like what they're selling. It's like
Hmm.
actually, it's like a good for society type of product. Like it's not
Right.
soda water. It's not, we're
Right.
not selling morphine. This is like the more insurance you have, I think it's better for the society, right?
No,
And
bubbly water does make, society a little better too. I do. I love bubbly
yeah,
water.
sure, yeah, it's
I gotta
debatable,
say,
debatable. Or
that
some
does
bubble
make my
water,
life significantly
some
better. I'm
bubble
telling you.
water. Yeah.
No, but I
But
hear you. I hear you. You're
yeah,
protecting people. You're giving good,
protecting
it's
exactly. I
you're
mean,
bringing value to the world.
exactly. I think hopefully all agents feel like when they sell an insurance product, you don't feel sleazy and like, oh, I sold them what they didn't need. I think everybody can use more insurance, or if they can afford it. And so,
Right.
and it's good
True.
for the society. So we felt good about like the mission of the insurance industry. It's a good market to be. And then we had kind of the background network mainly through my business partner. And so that's kind of we decided to kind of get into the space.
Nice, man.
Initially
Yeah.
hosted an event, like one event in 2019, and then kind of grew from there.
What did you see? Like, how did that all like kick off? What was the stuff that really took you guys to the next level? Did you just see a ton of traction with people just
Yeah,
needing.
so basically we're going to like other cities to meet
Mhm.
basically these InsurTech founders as clients because we were consulting for them. And then we were like, hey, why don't we post something in our neck of the woods? There wasn't really much going on. And then we got a law firm to provide us like a, you know, meeting space for free. But then they're like, yeah, you have to pay for catering. So I was like, okay. So we paid for catering, we sold tickets. And then like within like 2 weeks, we sold out, very quickly. We sold out all the tickets. And it was a 75-person event, so it wasn't big, but we were like, hey, this is something. And the second time, the law firm was like, hey, we'll pay for catering, bring the same people. So we kept doing it.
Nice.
And then third time, we actually had sponsors who wanted to sponsor us to like be able to speak and do other things. So we were like, hey, this has legs. Let's just do more of this versus one-on-one consulting. Because we felt like with this platform, we were able to do a lot more on a scalable matter and help many people, many companies versus
Right.
like,
Right. What are you kind of the biggest? And by the way, I'm really excited to go to this event, man. I'm really
yeah,
looking
awesome.
forward to it. It should
Yeah,
be really fun. Especially because I'm sure every time, one thing I have noticed when you go to these kind of conferences or these events,
yeah,
you always learn something that you didn't even know you didn't know, you know? So like I
yeah.
was like, I
Unknown,
go to these,
unknown, we call them. Yeah,
yeah, it's like I didn't even know I had that problem. And
yeah,
then I just realized that there's this booth here and these
yeah,
people have solved something that like is so deep in the list of my problems. That's another
yeah,
thing as an agency owner, you have so much stuff, you're just juggling all the time and
yeah,
you're doing busy work. So like getting that stuff off your plate and finding a nice efficient model or finding that sweet spot of efficiency
yeah,
is the key to scale, I believe. So yeah, you guys are really bringing a quality service or value to the world because you're helping small business owners help other people get insured, or small to medium large, whatever agencies, whatever you guys size, but you're
yeah,
helping them insure more people. And like you said, everybody could use more insurance if they can afford it,
yeah,
what
absolutely.
Tony, what challenges are you seeing like most agencies are facing with their tech, or just even processes? I know you
Yeah.
mentioned like the loss runs a bit. That's always a pain in the ass for everyone. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pain in the ass. Like, just the whole back office. There's so much automation that can be had. I think you mentioned
Mm,
Chris talk last time. You have all these like disparate systems, and you
yeah.
need a kind of a system to integrate them because you don't have one source of truth. We've heard that before too. Also, like what we're seeing nowadays, which is actually solved through a lot of AI solutions, is like we have all the different data everywhere. It's not even just integrating. I just want to
Mm,
be able to like ask. Like, so if I'm talking to if I'm an agent, I'm talking to a customer and they call me up and get, hey, what's my, what does my policy say? Like how much
deductible. What's my deductible?
whatever, all kinds of questions. And like they're gonna be all over different PDFs, so you've got to read through them. And so like, it wouldn't
Interesting.
be nice if somebody told you the answer right away. And a lot of the Gen AI agents nowadays do that. So you ask a question, it spits out a very accurate answer that you can share with your customer right away.
Interesting.
So
So it's almost like a chat bot that knows everything about
yeah,
your customers.
exactly. Yeah. So there's a
That's
company called
interesting.
Indem that does that really well. So that's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Saves you a couple minutes here and there. You think that that's like, it's okay. I could just open up the policy, but
Yeah.
you probably save it. You start to stack those numbers up. 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 3 minutes there. That's like it ends up being an hour, a couple hours a week.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man, it's all about efficiency.
No, absolutely. If you have, if you have like a decent staff who's always answering phone calls, right, or like
Yeah.
answering, maybe you have a chatbot yourself and you're just answering questions. A lot of these chatbot, like if it's done well, can answer more than 50% of them. So that's a pretty
Yeah.
significant.
That's the only part I honestly just transparently I get nervous about. It's like how what if I like lean or rely on the chatbot? I think this is where probably people are still
Yeah,
hesitant. They're like still worried.
yeah,
What if I
yeah,
rely on the AI to say like, oh yeah, the deductible is 2,500, but something hasn't been updated yet or something, and it's like actually 1,000, and it's just a different
right.
deductible, and I'm giving them wrong information because I
Uh,
trusted artificial intelligence. I don't know. This is just like a concern.
no,
Um,
no. So that's definitely I'm sure a lot of people are worried about that. I mean, two thoughts
yeah,
there. So one of them is you before you implement anything, you have to test it out to make sure
yeah, for sure.
it's 99% accurate, right? So that's something
Right.
you must do. Number two, even if human answer, the human makes errors all the time, right? So
Yeah,
like this is
true.
one of the problems people have is they just have AI, like their expectation of AI is so much higher than what they expect from humans. Like
Right.
I
That's a
think
good point.
people are like concerned that Tesla like or all these automated vehicles if they kill people
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
to one person they're gonna like shut down the entire project. But then not realizing people are killing other like through
They're
cars
drinking and
every
driving
day.
out, going to the club
Yeah,
and then
every
driving
day
home and stuff.
exactly. Or
You're
just
better,
regular
honestly.
driving they make a mistake and then they kill
No,
people.
for
Like,
sure. Yeah,
yeah,
you're texting and driving. I have a Tesla, so I love that car.
yeah,
Like I just put it on self drive, and
right.
I'm just like I can take a quick text, and I just feel a lot, you know, more
You
confident.
feel
But
safe
yeah,
now.
you're
Yeah, yeah.
good point. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah. Um, Tony, as far as like the future of InsurTech, what do you see kind of the future growth and like where do you see this all going in the future? I don't know, like 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah, it's really I with the changes that are happening, it's really difficult to predict 10 years from now, but like let's say 5 years from now, I
Yeah.
think probably like a lot of just focusing on the agency world, it's happening already for the past few years. It's just a lot of consolidation, right? So you're going to continue to see that.
Hmm.
And then I think
Consolidation in what sense do you mean?
agencies, agency roll-ups, like you're going to see bigger and bigger agents, right? So
Oh, I
that's
see.
happening. But I think those agents who are leveraging technology most effectively, I think will win. And
Hmm.
this is not going to be. I don't think it will be on the customer facing side or distribution side. It'll be more on the back end. So you want to be as efficient and effective as possible on the back end using
Yeah.
technology process optimization. And then you also see a lot of the low-hanging fruits, low premium products will be, automated. And so maybe humans don't need to be involved. And for agencies who want additional revenue, and if we're not focusing on low premium ones, they could actually implement the digital distribution, maybe AI,
Hmm.
leveraging AI agents to have the conversation with the customer to sell it. Because like as an agent, you don't want to sell like a $50 premium product. It's just not worth your time. But if
Yeah.
it's automated, why not, right? So I think you'll see a lot of those. It's already happening,
Yeah.
but
I
some
want
of
to
the
do that.
smarter agents will leverage that, and in fact, leverage that to get lead gen. This is also happening a lot, which is use the
Mm.
digital distribution to get, and a lot of them will fill out all the information, and then they won't close, right? And this
Hmm.
is, and then it's like a lead you have. Now you can just
Yeah.
make a call and close it. So this
You
is
just
a
call it once it's been nurtured by the AI, you're saying, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that you will see more and more of that happening as well. The smart brokers who's not afraid to kind of try technology. I think they'll definitely leverage this.
How would you say that they can compete with like the budgets of some of the bigger companies, especially with the smaller agencies? I know not all this
Yeah.
technology is cheap. What would you say? How can smaller agencies compete with the larger companies with like smaller budgets?
They can still compete in the niche areas, in the local
Right.
areas, specific groups of customers. And then, the more niche you get, I think the better chance you'll have.
Yeah.
And a lot of the small businesses are not really being targeted by the big boys. So this is your chance to kind of take them.
Do
Yeah.
you think that the big companies are taking on some of this technology quickly, or are they being slow to it?
Uh, Both. So they have the
Interesting.
desire to take on technology. In fact, they've acquired some of these digital distribution
I know.
companies.
I was going to say they could just buy them up, right?
Yeah, they can buy them up. I mean, I think they bought it was Aon who bought one of the digital distribution companies. So they're buying
Oh,
them,
for real.
using them the back end. But if anybody's has worked in a big corporation, it's not just the insurance company. It's just super slow. It's really hard for them to change,
Mm. Implement it all.
implement it, make it work across the board. Maybe some parts of the company is using technology, but many other parts are not. It's a mess.
Interesting.
Even it's just U.S. corporation, any corporation is a mess, right? It's just hard to standardize anything. So for your small agent, this is kind of an advantage for you because you can move very quickly, make decisions on startups or start technology right away, right? And then
True.
leverage it right away. So
For
you're kind
sure.
of the driver's seat when it comes to innovation, actually.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I guess we'll leave everyone with that message. If you do, take advantage of it, right? Because
yeah,
it's true. Like I've noticed even as I've grown, when I had two team members, 2 or 3 team members, now we're at like 8 or whatever. It's not that much more, but still like when I had 2 people, it was like very easy to change the process. Like, hey guys, this is what
yeah,
we're doing. Okay. Like there's
yeah,
two of
yeah,
us, 3 of us. Um, Now it's like, I got to make sure everybody's on the same page. You guys like everybody clear on this? Like this
yeah,
is how we're doing things. I
yeah.
can just imagine like a 500, 1,000, 2,000 company, people company. It's like, now you got to
Very
get 2,000 people on board. So
Very
I think
difficult.
that's spot on, man. If you can implement it and use it, what better than even also just like the old guy agencies, old timers that are just checked out and they're just letting their business like they have somebody there that's just
Yeah.
on autopilot
Yeah.
and they're just like they're playing golf and eating
Right.
sushi all day, which we do too. Don't worry, we still
Yeah.
eat some golf and sushi, but still, those guys are the ones that you can start to win some business. You could really start to get ahead.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone does listen to these tips. Good stuff,
Yeah.
Tony. And then one more time, if you could just shout out the conference. It's in what part of New York?
It's in Chelsea Piers, which is on the west side of the Manhattan Island, and it's like 20 something street. It's a beautiful space surrounded by water. If you go to conference, usually like you're in a dungeon or
Yeah,
some place with no windows. It's actually surrounded by windows and water. Beautiful space.
nice,
But
nice.
yeah, more importantly, we have really great speakers, content, and startups. Forgot to mention, we're also hosting finals of early stage startup competition. So you'll see some of the
Yeah.
latest innovations happening in the industry. We also have a case competition of 4 universities,
Oh wow.
St. Joseph, Florida, Iowa, University of Iowa, and then UConn. They're gonna
Oh wow.
students
Competing.
come up with if students come up with innovative insurance ideas, and it's gonna be like idea competition.
That's
So
super cool. It's good. It would be nice to see some young, especially because
yeah,
insurance tends to run on the older side, at least in California. But
that's the
that's
case.
cool to see, man.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, yeah. No, so it should be it's a lot of fun, and we try to keep it fun. So should be a great way
Nice.
to work with your peers as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally, totally. I'm excited to go. Tony, if they want to if anybody wants to buy tickets, how do they get them?
Yeah, so you can go to InsurTechNY.com. That's InsurTechNY.com, and then click on the conference link. And
Cool.
I'm happy to share a additional discount code to the audience of your podcast, Chris. So I'm happy to
Cool.
share that. Maybe you
Yeah,
can
that'd be awesome.
show
No,
notes or
for
something.
sure, for sure.
Yeah,
We'll put the link. We'll make sure to put a link in the bottom of the video, so
yeah.
anybody that wants to check that out. Well, yeah, man. It's April. What is it?
April 2nd and 3rd in New
April
York City.
2nd and 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. My first time in New York, Tony. I'm gonna be out there, so
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. So yeah, guys, definitely check that out if you're watching. Reach out to Tony. Do you want people to hit you up, Tony, or you don't
Yeah,
want people
sure. Hit me
contacting you?
up. Yeah, I can find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com /IN, but you can find me Tony Liu,
Tony.
TONLEW. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great, Tony. Well, really appreciate it, man. Dude, I think some people
Yeah.
like this definitely gets the wheels turning for people, and also just like reminds them how important it is. And it is really valuable. We don't realize it sometimes, but one little thing you could say here could change the way people do business and could take things to the next level. It really change people's businesses and lives and stuff. So, yeah, I appreciate you sharing all the good tips and stuff. And yeah, I'm excited to see you out in New York, man.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Chris.
For
Yeah,
sure.
appreciate it. Okay.
Same here. Good stuff. Thanks so much, Tony.